Double J, Jeff Jarrett, here to tell you a little bit about the nonstop savings happening over here at SaveWithConrad.com. Are high credit card balances holding you down on the card? If you're looking to give a guitar shot to your credit card debt or give your home the push it deserves with some upgrades and remodeling, you need to go to SaveWithConrad.com. That's right, SaveWithConrad.com. Conrad and his team are routinely helping my world listeners save $5, $6, $7, even $800 a month. Oh, did I mention you get to skip your next 2 house payments? Take a cue from the last outlaw, because if anybody knows how to get the bag, it's me. Strut on over to SaveWithConrad.com today and see how much money you can save for free. That's right, it's SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Woo!
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Grilling JR, the voice of wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross. Jim, how are you, man?
I'm pretty good, Connie. I had a hell of a weekend, busy weekend. Got a great story to kick off the show for everybody. It's kind of funny. It's just a little look at my weekend, shall I say. So I'm good. I got home at 2:00 this morning.
Oh, okay.
24 hours. That's what I put in on Sunday. So,
goodness gracious.
Yeah, it was daunting for this little carcass. I had, I flew to Kentucky on Friday, and so it was tough, and I just didn't want to be late. Big show, take the pressure off of travel, because travel is miserable. Hence part of the story. So I go do a Rampage on Saturday in Lexington, and then get back to the hotel, which is connected. The Rupp Arena is connected to the hotel, the Hyatt we were staying at. So that was easy. So I got back to my room about 10:30 Eastern time, and tried to sleep, but it just, when you know you got to get up, you can't be late. When you know that you can't, there's no margin for error. It's really challenging. So hence sleep was daunting, and so my pickup from my car service to take me to the Lexington airport left at 3:15 a.m. That was my pickup, 3:15 a.m. And so I made my pickup. I got to the Lexington airport. I was the absolute first person in line at TSA. There was nobody else in the building at that hour. They hadn't even come to work yet. So it pissed me off, because I could have had another hour's trying to sleep, or at least laying vertical, laying horizontal. And so I took a flight from Lexington to Charlotte, connecting in Charlotte to a flight to Newark. And I got to Newark about, I don't know, it's probably 9:30, 10 o'clock. And my appearance started at 11. So now I'm on fumes, and I go do this appearance. My table was right next to Eric's, so that was nice to catch up with him a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were busy. We had good long lines all day, and it's just, it was a typical experience. It was good. So I did that. I signed until 4:00, which I won't do again. It's too long. And so we did our signing. They took me back to the airport, and my flight scheduled to leave at 7:47 p.m. So I got the airport like 3 hours early, then I realized in Newark they don't have any Admirals clubs. For American. So I had, you're sitting around the airport with your hat on, waiting for somebody to want a selfie or sign something or whatever, which is cool, but it was just one after another. So I finally get I tried to change my flight, tried to go out earlier, to no avail. I just Wasn't going to happen. So I took my original flight, 7:47 departure, from Newark back into Charlotte, and that was on time, which is a rarity on this trip. And I get to Charlotte, supposed to land in Jacksonville at 11:59 p.m. Might as well say midnight.
Right.
So everything's working okay. So I get to Charlotte and I find out that my flight is delayed, and due to a mechanical, some light in the cockpit or some light in the cabin didn't come on the way they wanted it, or something crazy. So I get there, and the 15-minute delay turned into an hour. Yeah. So I did. I was a little disappointed at the end of my day that I'm faced with another American Airlines delay, and so I got home. I landed in Jacksonville about 1 something. I got home about 2 something, and I was so damn tired, Connie, I couldn't sleep. So I probably slept. I did take a cat nap, and then the joke continues on me, because this is the week you're going to hear some construction work. I apologize in advance to all the listeners, viewers. I can't do anything about it. You can only imagine how it is to live here and have to deal with that noise and all that shit. So it just never ended. It never ended the misery. Never ended on Sunday. I mean, it was a 24-hour day for a 71-year-old man.
My goodness.
Yeah, and it was just tough on a huge week,
Huge.
Yeah. So anyway, I made it through and got it all handled. So then the other joke on me is when my little work crew came in on Sunday, and they had to take down all the blinds in my condo because they're replacing the windows and the door to the balcony, but primarily they're replacing all the windows in this facility that's built in 1982. And so I come home. I think, well, look, at least I can sleep. Hopefully, I'll be able to sleep 4 or 5 hours, and that'll be back to where I need to be, I think. But I didn't factor in the fact there's no blinds, so that means that my place, my bedroom, and my living room were illuminated. They can't block the sun. It was horrible. It never ended. So I finally got out of my bed and went into the living room and slept on the couch last night for a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, something like that. So it was a comedy of errors. Lots of it was travel oriented, and it was just it's been the shits. So that was how my weekend started, Connie. My weekend started with airplane delays, and the guy sitting across from me was some young girl. I thought she was his daughter. I don't know. I'm not sure, but he went to the bathroom, and the lead flight attendant sits down and talks to the little girl because it was kind of suspicious. So when the plane landed, the little girl, I was sitting across from her. When the plane landed, I let her go in front of me. I was in row 2, as was she, across the aisle. And she walked out of that son of a bitch like an Olympic speed walker. I didn't see her again. I don't know where she went. And the guy was drinking, and he went to the rental car counter, trying to give them some excuse or some rationale as to why he was there, or they probably should have detained him and questioned the guy, because he was just very abusive, very abrasive. Wasn't good. Wasn't a good vibe at all. So that was also on my flight, and all of a sudden there was kind of a little uprising because everybody saw this guy didn't have very good intentions apparently, And so I don't know what his name was. I'm glad I don't. So it was just the shits, man. It was a tough day. And thank God the appearance was great, and we had a big crowd, and it was fun. I saw a lot of old friends, which is one of the things that you get. One of the benefits you get out of these scenarios, you get to see a lot of people that you haven't seen in a long time. So it was that kind of day for me, buddy. It was just a little daunting, as we say in the trade. So, but I'm glad to be here today, and I'm glad that we're going to be able to talk about a very timely topic. And it's huge week. I'm going to fly to Wednesday. I'm flying to Atlanta, and
So as folks are listening to this, yesterday you flew to Atlanta.
yeah,
Yeah.
you handle all that shit. Hell, I don't know.
Of
I don't even know.
course, it was Fighter Fest, and it's pretty fun, man, to think that we've got the Go Home Dynamite, the Go Home Rampage, the Go Home Collision. I guess this is the Go Home Grilling JR for the biggest wrestling event of all time. And I realize that's going to be disputed. I know WWE has announced some kayfabe numbers over the years. But as far as actual tickets sold, it looks like this is the all-time record. As we're recording, the building is set up for 85,472 folks. There's over 80,846 tickets that have been distributed. That actually passes the number of tickets that were distributed at WrestleMania 32. And I know what you're thinking. Didn't they announce 101,000 for that show? They did. But as far as actual tickets that have been distributed, we know that this number surpasses that number, and we've still got a handful of days to go. And I'm sure the WWE way of counting is to count the attendance. They never say tickets sold, so that would include all the staff, the roster, the people who work at the building, the parking attendants, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So this has, by all intents and purposes, this is going to be not just the biggest crowd that the roster has worked in front of, but Jim, you've been at so many of these major WrestleManias. This is going to be the biggest crowd you've worked in front of too. This is big time stuff here, man.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive when you stop and think about it. For me, next year will be 50 years in the wrestling business. I don't regret a minute of any of it, quite frankly. Wouldn't change a damn thing. So, yeah, it's going to be very memorable. I say this, and I don't say it in a morbid way, but we all got to be realistic about our mortality. And I don't know that I'll ever go back to. I don't know if I'll ever have the opportunity to be a part of an event like this again, because you can't run an event like that every year. I don't
No.
think. I don't think it's a once in a lifetime deal. They struck while the iron was hot, Connie, and when you don't have a card, it tells you what sold the event. What sold the event was the brand AEW. Quite frankly, it's just a no-brainer. So I'm looking forward to it immensely. Have no idea what match I'm going to call or matches. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever Tony Khan wants, that's what I'll do. It's easy. The coach sends a play in. You're a player. Run the damn play. Simple as that. So it just takes so much more off your plate that you have to deal with. So anyway, I'm going to fly there. We're going to do Dynamite on Wednesday as normal. Then the set change, boom, 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 little NASCAR thing. Hurry, get it done. And then we're going to do the collision show. So that's going to be a long ass day. Fans in Atlanta and the surrounding area are going to get a great value because they're getting a ton of product, good product, I think. And then we fly to, many of us will fly then the next day from Atlanta nonstop to Heathrow. And so, it's get to London, settle in, try to get some rest, try to get some sleep. And that's what I'm going to do. I've been there too many times that the novelty's worn off. I can only eat so many fish and chips and, the typical English breakfast, which I do like. I like pork and beans. So anyhow, that's where we are, man. It's it's time to play. And I hope all the young guys understand, what's at stake. We're trying to build a legacy here for Tony Khan and the AEW. So let's go get our job done. Let's go kick some ass and have some fun, and make it a show that people say, "Man, I'm sure glad I watched that show on pay-per-view. It was awesome."
No doubt about it. It's going to be awesome. We're going to start with a pre-show match. The Ring of Honor World Titles on the line as Aussie Open will defend against MJF and Adam Cole. We've also got FTR and the Young Bucks in action. This will be the rubber match. They're tied at one match apiece. We've got a four-way dance for the women's championship. We've got Sheeta and Tony Storm and Saraya and Dr. Britt Baker. We've also got a tag team coffin match. Big on story, big on stakes, big on violence, I expect. Darby Allin teaming up with his pal Sting to take on the Mogul Embassy, AR Fox and Swerve Strickland, who left a bloody mess of Nick Wayne. We'll have a six-man tag team match with the Golden Elite, Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page, taking on Takeshita and the Golden, or the Bullet Club Gold, which is Juice Robinson and Jay White. I think Juice Robinson and Jay White have let their presence be felt in AEW in a big way this year.
Yeah, they have. They've contributed a lot in a short amount of time.
A Stadium Stampede match with Eddie Kingston teaming up with the Best Friends, which is Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, and Trent Beretta, to take on the Lucha Bros and the Blackpool, or with the Lucha Bros to take on the Blackpool Combat Club, which is John Moxley, Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, and 3 to be announced. So I'm sure we'll find out who that is through the course of AEW programming this week. I'm sure it's a dream match for Will Ospreay. He'll be taking on Chris Jericho in a singles match. Certainly the biggest crowd either one of these guys have ever been in front of. Again, this will be the all-time record. And then still 2 matches to go. CM Punk versus Samoa Joe for the real World's Championship. Of course, you know that the TV champ is Samoa Joe, but CM Punk never lost his world title last September. So this is for the real World's Championship. And then the actual world title match will close up with MJF and Adam Cole. It's going to be one heck of a time. It starts at noon my time, Jim. I've already got some friends and family coming over, and we're going to do a little grilling. As you might imagine, I know exactly what type of seasoning to use. We'll be talking about that later, but it's a noon central show, a 1 Eastern show. I know that is not quote unquote normal for wrestling pay-per-views, but I think there's so much buzz and hype about this one. The word's going to get out. Hey man, same day, but different time.
That's all.
I think they're going to do really strong on pay-per-view. What say you?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. It's been building a long time. Fans are anticipating a great show. I shake my head in amazement, Connie, that some fans have gut and quartered as we say in the South, they've gut and quartered the booking, and the matches haven't even happened.
Right.
Somebody should be investing in the stock market or somewhere where they can make a big payday if they have that much vision and foresight. I say this: watch the show and then judge it.
Yes.
It's really simple. Watch the show and then judge it if you must. And God knows that there's a lot of fans that are absolutely insane about critiquing and reviewing with their many learned skills of such. So just let it happen. Enjoy it. Hey, if nothing else, the spectacle of over 80,000 people in one of the most famous stadiums in the world is enough to make me want to watch it. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see what it feels like. And for a guy that's going to be announcing it, like you said earlier, I've done a lot of stadium shows. And after a while, you kind of forget the crowd's there. You focus on your monitor and you let the match come to you. Then you're just doing your job like you normally would. You don't change your tone, your tenor, your pacing. And hopefully folks are going to enjoy it as much as I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be a big show, and I know what you got to do before you get there. You got to get ready, especially this time of year. Attention, fantasy football fanatics, as draft season approaches, don't neglect the most important draft pick of all, your game balls. We all know how injuries can ruin a season, so let Manscaped take care of that Reggie Bush of yours with their skin-safe technology. This should guarantee you have a smooth ride into the playoffs. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have created a championship lineup with their Performance Package 4.0, and it's time for you to do the same. Join the 9 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped to get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code Jim Ross. Now, inside this Performance Package 4.0, you know it's all about the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. They've got the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, also the Crop Preserver ball deodorant. How about the Crop Reviver toner? Some performance boxer briefs and a shed travel bag. Slide it at quarterback. Boy, it's all about the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim your body, your balls, and even your A-gap. This fourth generation trimmer also has this cutting edge technology. Of course, it is that fabulous ceramic blade, but man, you don't have to worry about getting hurt. It's got advanced skin safe technology. It also has a 7,000 RPM motor, a travel lock, and it's waterproof. And did I mention it has a 4,000K LED spotlight brighter than Bryce Young's future in the end zone? Also in this package is the Weed Whacker. This thing runs through ear and nose hairs like Aaron Donald runs through your favorite quarterback. It's waterproof, a 9,000 RPM motor, a 360-degree rotary dual blade system, and once again, all with their proprietary skin-safe technology. Of course, it comes with the Crop Preserver, ball deodorant, and the Crop Reviver to help your little bench warmers be on their A game in this summer heat. How about 2 free gifts? We mentioned the boxers, but JR absolutely loves the travel bag. He's had it for years, and you'll see why. You'll feel like the real commissioner around these parts. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Jim Ross at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code Jim Ross at manscaped.com. It's time to put the PP back in PPR and get a grip on your pigskin this season with Manscaped.
Great copy. They do a great job. They do a great job of writing the copy, very timely. So, hey, the thing about it is, Manscaped just keeps getting better. They keep reinventing themselves. They keep adding new products that make your life a lot cleaner, neater. So I'm a big supporter of Manscaped and how they can make you feel. So give it a shot. No better time right now. 20% off. Free shipping's always nice at manscaped.com. Promo code Jim Ross. That'd be me.
That would be you. And man, we're excited about our topic today. We're going to be doing something we haven't done a lot of. We're going to be doing a watch along, and we're doing it about the very first All In. So this show happened 5 years ago, 2018. This is really the precursor, maybe even the proof of concept for what AEW would become. Of course, it was Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks betting on themselves. They involved the Elite. Here comes Kenny Omega, and of course, with the back end support of Ring of Honor and Fight TV and some of their favorite friends from New Japan, including the New Japan heavyweight champion at the time, Kenny Omega. This was the card of 2018 outside of the WWE universe. And we're going to watch the last 2 hours of that program here today. I think Silva has us fired up on his end. I want to mention that you can watch this show anytime you'd like. It's easy to do that over on the Honor Club. This is available in a streaming service from Ring of Honor that you can check out. And I'm sure it will be referenced more than once over the next several days. The first All In, and of course this Sunday is the second All In. So without further ado, I think we've got some footage ready to get going here with. Here we go, JR, in 3,
ready,
2, 1, play.
Behind every great man is a wonderful woman.
Just in time for Cody's entrance.
Wow, look at this. What a fight camp this is.
Ian Riccaboni there.
Tommy Dreamer.
Ian does a great job, no matter what show he's doing. Kevin Kelly's back now doing Collision with goddamn. I just had a
Nigel McGuinness.
Nigel, yeah, of course. Nigel does a super job too. Nigel's very conscientious, works hard preparing, does a good job. I was at this event, sitting in a suite. It's kind of cool, and quite the presentation. Everybody finally got a chance to use their pencil.
Yes,
shall we say?
It's
the hottest ticket. It's the hottest ticket I remember. It reminded me of the Desire. I got requests for tickets for the first Austin Rock match, and at WrestleMania, what was it, 15?
Mm-hmm.
They had main events at 15, 17, and 19.
That's right.
Meaning Rock and Steve. So, but the demand for tickets from my little world was unbelievable. I couldn't handle all the tickets that people wanted. They wanted comp tickets and they wanted to come see that show. It's a must-see type thing. And I think a lot of that same emotion bled through to this match. Tommy Dreamer there, getting some camera time. Dallas Page. Interesting entourage.
Yeah, no doubt.
Interesting entourage, to say the least.
We should mention that Meltzer would write that it was perhaps a shocking reaction. The most shocking reaction on the show, according to the Observer, was the pop for Cody Rhodes, that he got the biggest pop of the night. And as you mentioned, he had quite the entourage there. Maybe Pharaoh got his own standalone pop, but there you see full capacity, not a single empty seat. I think they called it total utilization, but it grossed over $1 million on pay-per-view between All In and the first Starrcast, which was roughly 20,000 pay-per-view orders. And of course, it was on traditional pay-per-view as well. Starrcast that weekend had 11,000 tickets sold. Pro Wrestling Tees did $500,000 worth of t-shirt business. High Spots had their biggest merch day in the history of any convention ever. And of course, they are the creators of WrestleCon, and they never had a more lucrative day than on this particular day. And there was a lot of buzz about this particular match. This was old school storytelling. Of course, this entire show was built on the backs of the Young Bucks YouTube show, Being the Elite. But Dave Lagana and the NWA did a fabulous series, the 10 Pounds of Gold, where they really made this title matter for the first time in a long time, in my opinion. Like, this was the high watermark for that domed globe championship since, it was no longer defended by Ric Flair in 1986. I mean, people were really talking about this belt and the story of Cody trying to be able to follow in his father's footsteps of winning that NWA championship. It was really a pretty impressive piece of business, that story, no?
Yeah, of course. Yes. Very great booking. Nick Aldis doesn't get the credit that he deserves. It's a Cody Rhodes show right now, especially how successful Cody's being in WWE. And deservedly so. He works his ass off. He's a smart kid. Cody Rhodes was born to do what he's doing.
Yes.
Simple as that. And every now and then you get lucky in wrestling and you come along as a fan or a broadcaster or whatever, and at the right place at the right time. And so I think we all watched this match, and it was just great. It was right place, right time for all of us as fans. And so I'd love to have called this match. This is right down my wheelhouse. But Aldis should get more credit than he's getting.
Yes.
Has gotten, because Cody couldn't do this thing a cappella.
100%.
So Nick's a good guy. He married well too. One of my favorites, Mickey James, is his wife. Yeah. So there's the dog. He's enlisting everything that's wholesome. A man's pet, his buddies. It's just kind of cool.
We tried to get Sting to sit in the front row for this. Cody and I did, and then tried to get Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Terry Funk. We tried a few former NWA champions to be in the front row for this to provide a distraction at a certain point in the match, but we struck out. But you'll see what they did instead. But how about this face off? This has a big fight feel. It feels like a big time UFC type event. Let's track the audio here for just a few minutes.
Marietta, Georgia. He weighed in yesterday at 206 pounds. He's representing Bullet Club, the American Nightmare, Cody! His first attempt to try to capture the championship his father has held 3 times here in Chicago, Illinois.
This is a moment in time.
Conrad, you might want to tell them if you know who all the announcers are. It's like a 3-man booth, I think.
England. He weighed in yesterday at 236 pounds. For 226 days, he has been the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, the National Treasure, Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis, who nearly retired, decided to give it one last shot. And what a shot he's made. When he won the championship in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, there was barely 500 people in the building.
That's not crowd.
This match is for the NWA World Championship. The only way this match can be won is by pin or submission. I've known you guys for many, many years. And
That's enough, Earl.
I'm real great being in this match.
Cody.
And may the best man win and take the 10 pounds of gold.
Hell yes.
Best of luck to both of you guys.
Perhaps no better man, no more qualified man than Earl Hebner to call this NWA World Heavyweight Championship
Cody's
match.
favorite match is WrestleMania
And it's going
18.
down.
Hogan
The
Raw.
bell rings. We
Yeah.
are kicking things
This
is
off.
their
Our
moment
first
right
of
here.
2 championship bouts here tonight.
I saw Earl
The
in
atmosphere is electric.
New Jersey
This is
Sunday.
The match I believe a majority of the
Him and his,
fans
little
have
daughter,
come to
Katie.
see here tonight.
She's doing
The
some
weight of the
refereeing
world
action.
on his shoulders, the American
Look at the
Nightmare.
fans getting louder and
Something to
louder and
prove
louder.
for
They
the
haven't
rest
even
of the
touched
brand.
him.
The champ, Nick Aldis, one-on-one, the title stands
They're
between
fresh.
them.
They haven't been worn out.
10,451
When you ran over that graphic earlier about
Chicago, Illinois.
the main event,
Gentlemanly
or a main event, more specifically said the last match in Wembley, can you just imagine how much Adam Cole and MJF are going to have to do to
Yes.
get the crowd's attention? Because the crowd has seen everything.
Yes.
Seen everything. I'm sure blood and guts and gimmick matches and tag matches and multiple tag matches and so forth. You got to follow all that somehow.
Yes.
So I'm really, really anxious to see how MJF and Adam Cole handle their business, because it's not going to be easy. But that's what makes it fun, man. They got a chance to be extraordinary.
Well, this is going to be a big time match, of course, that we're watching here. This is the one that's heaviest on story. Going to be a lot of story this Sunday. The gate for this event we're watching 5 years ago, everyone agreed after the fact the tickets were ridiculously underpriced. They could have been a much bigger gate, but they did $458,525. The show sold out months ahead of time in just a handful of minutes. And these guys are going to get 22 minutes and 2 seconds to go ahead and tell their story for the NWA World Title. Coming up still to come on this match, we've got Jay Lethal taking on Flip Gordon. The story for that match, of course, was Flip was a big part of the Being the Elite YouTube show, and he's desperately trying to get on this show, and there's just not an opportunity, and they don't have a spot. And he goes under a hood and wins the Battle Royal on the pre-show. And because of that, he got a shot at the Ring of Honor World Champion, which is Jay Lethal, who's going to be portraying Black Machismo with Lanny Poffo in his corner. We got Kenny Omega and Penta. We'll also have the Young Bucks and Kota Ibushi taking on Rey Mysterio, Rey Fenix, and Bandido. So just a big time show. I mean, this is a show where a lot of people would have never imagined you could have gotten Rey Mysterio, but he was not yet back with WWE. I believe at the time you were still technically under contract to WWE, but our mutual friend Barry knew that I had locked down a couple of suites for this one and asked, "You think good old JR could get a few tickets?" Yes, he can. So this is a fun thing to watch back. I have to admit, this is my most favorite wrestling experience of all time. That weekend and being at this show, and it just felt like we were building something and we were seeing something together. The fans and the talent. I mean, this didn't feel like it was a company presenting it. It felt like it was by the boys for the boys, and it was just an unbelievable weekend in my fandom. But I've never actually sat down and watched it since, so I'm excited to watch this. Of course, interestingly enough, as we mentioned, this is going to be the proof of concept for AEW, if you will. But who would have guessed at that time, both Cody and Nick Aldis, 5 years later, would be working with WWE?
Is Aldis at WWE now?
He's a producer for WWE, yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, good for him. He's got a wealth of knowledge, and he'll do a good job for those guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the things about this match that impressed me was the pacing. You know, they're going to do 22 minutes here, and they build a story that has a great crescendo, hence the title changing hands. And but they had a very deliberate pace that was easy to process as a fan.
Yes.
Things meant something. They connected their proverbial dots and maximized their minutes to these two guys. Pacing's so important in a situation like this. It's just it just lays the foundation for either it's going to be a great match, a good match, or I should have made the sandwich. No sandwiches were made during this event.
The total attendance for this show was 11,263. Of course, these guys are very entrepreneurial at this point. As soon as they have the final number of folks in the building, they put that on a t-shirt and it's for sale, as it should be. Fans loved it too.
It was an event for the fans, as you said, Conrad. The boys, the talents, getting to express their creativity, to paint with their own colors. Very important to be able to do that. It was reminiscent back to the days of the territories where I started. You know, you have a guy comes in and he's a main event guy, and Cowboy would book him to add to his own creative. Because when a talent invests in their own creative, they're a lot more likely to do all they can to pull it off. And so I always thought that was a pretty cool deal. And the talents here had a huge hand in what we're seeing, not only in this match, but all the matches. So it was a different deal. It wasn't overproduced in that sense. You know, I know that when the guys came to the ring, Connie, we saw a variety of individuals in the entourages. I remember, I don't think we mentioned Jeff Jarrett was in the entourage. And
yes, he was.
Nick Aldis, among others. So they did a nice job. Meaning these talents in these matches, they did a nice job of adding their own flavor, adding their own JR seasoning, shall we say, and making it work. And they pulled it off. Double cross bodies are not easy to pull off, but those guys just did it.
The entourages with Cody was Brandy Rhodes, Diamond Dallas Page, easy for me to say, Glacier, and Tommy Dreamer. Of course, his father-in-law and his brother-in-law were there as well. With Nick Aldis, it's Jeff Jarrett, Sam Shaw, Sean Daivari, and Tim Storm. So some of the NWA brethren at the time. And this is fun to look back and see. You know, this is really the proof of concept for AEW. I think the story's out there that fans know the only way that Jericho was able to appear at this show and do his Fozzy show was he had to use a private plane, and he didn't charter his own. He used one of Tony Khan's. And I think when the story of All In is told, you know, people will look back and wonder, was this a giant misstep for Ring of Honor? Of course, we know at the time, Tony didn't own Ring of Honor. Hell, at the time, AEW didn't even exist.
Right.
But you had guys like Hangman Adam Page and Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, whose contract all expired at the end of the year.
Yeah, and looking in hindsight, and it's easy for us to critique in hindsight.
Yes.
I tried to never have all my top guys, any of the top guys, come and do it at the same time. It's not good business for the companies that you're representing. So I would have addressed that. Another cameo for DDP, right?
Yep, he comes out and the crowd is chanting yoga at him.
He had a nice he had a nice presence Sunday at our signing. He had a good line, and the one of the promoters is telling me that it generally takes Dallas longer to go through his line than anybody else because he shoots the breeze with everybody, which is cool. I'm not knocking that at all. You should take time to recognize, and Dallas does a good job of that.
Cody's coming up bleeding here. DDP is checking on Cody, of course, over near the timekeeper's table where the 10 pounds of gold is. And here comes Daivari with a white towel. Of course, Daivari is in Nick Aldis's group. He pushes Diamond Dallas Page down. Let's listen to this audio. How about this for a pop?
And Dallas stalking Sean Daivari.
No, laying hands on the official.
Oh, cutter! Feel the bang!
Thanks for
Diamond Cutter you can always count on for a pop outside DDP. Of course, we know he had one more match officially with AEW, which was a special moment on Dynamite. JR, you mentioned a while back about the announcers. Man, they had a ton of different announcers. For this particular match, we're listening to Brent Tarring and Ian Riccaboni at different points throughout the night, though. Excalibur, Don Callis, Dalton Castle, Tennille Dashwood, Andy Leon. All of those folks would make guest spots during different matches.
That's hard, too. Coming out of the bullpen cold.
Yeah.
And, if you got the experience, I get to do kind of cherry pick the collision matches. Tony Khan has me call them the last match, which he positions as his main event on that show, or at least one of the main events. But it's hard to get to find your rhythm when you're kind of cold. Rafael Morphy says I'm the Mariano Rivera of AEW. I come in the late innings. I come in the late innings and throw that cutter and try to get some outs. So, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love doing that. And I don't think who's told me. I think I'm trying to think who's somebody in the announce crew is not going to be. Oh, that's going to Nigel's not going to be with us on Wednesday night. He'll be with us on the big show in Wembley. He's going over early to do some media. Nigel's a great get for Tony Khan.
Oh yeah,
does a good job. And I we all dress in the same room, the announcer's room, so appropriately named, and Nigel's diligent on his note taking. He reminds me of me in that regard. And sometimes you can take that shit too far. Nigel doesn't, but he works hard at understanding the reason for a match and tells a beautiful story. Cody's doing a lot of flying in this match.
Oh yeah.
More than I think probably he in a perfect world that he would want to do. Because he likes to have a wrestling match.
Yes.
And right now he's just trying to survive a very physical offensive onslaught by Nick Aldis, notwithstanding this fall-away slam.
This show, as we said, universally loved by wrestling fans. 95.6% thumbs up. That means 609 people told Dave this was a thumbs up show. 27 told him it was a thumbs in the middle show, which represents 4.2%. And only one thumbs down, that's 0.2%.
How could that be? I mean, seriously,
like this.
Aldis going for another cover. It's great to build the drama and then go for the win. Yes. Sometimes I think that talents forget that. You should always be trying to go for the win. Anytime your opponent's shoulders are down or in a position to get on that canvas, go for it. Now Cody's going to retaliate. I'm wondering what the win-loss record for figure fours is.
It can't be high.
It can't be high, Conrad.
I love that they were doing old school stuff in this, though. I mean, it's for the old school title, and here they are hitting pile drivers and figure fours, and
it tells a story,
getting some blood going.
Yeah, it tells a story, and that's so important. Cody doing that traditional reversing the figure four, turning to his stomach, turning it into a modified version of an Indian deathlock, which still is a submission, obviously.
Man, it's so crazy to think about how fast wrestling changes. You know, this was just 5 years ago, and at the time, of course, Impact's doing their thing, and WWE's doing their thing, and Ring of Honor's doing their thing. But those are kind of the only three spaces to work. Now AEW, here they are, just 5 years later, setting all-time attendance records with the name of this same show.
Yeah,
All In. I mean, it's
just hard to believe that we've actually sold 80,000 tickets.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I see. I don't do a forensic study of the ticket sales. When I see it online, I acknowledge it and observe it. But golly, Conrad, I mean, these are not phony numbers.
No.
I mean, you can look at and the neat thing now too is you got a opportunity to see what's sold, what's left, where there's empty seats, all that good stuff. And there are not many empty seats in this 80,000 plus seat stadium. And there probably won't be any when the time is all said and done, because, wrestling, the element of on sale and the element of walk up, more in more specifics, the walk up's the big thing in pro wrestling. But there's just not a lot of tickets to walk up. There's inventory available. So, if you're watching our show, which we appreciate, you can certainly still be a part of it live, and that's what's fun, man. Do that. If you can be there, be there. If not, watch it on pay-per-view. Cody's doing some innovations of some of the traditional things that he does. That he gets into, and now he's trying to fight back into this thing. That's what a great babyface does. Great babyfaces never die. Great baby faces always come to play, and they come to fight, no matter what.
So he tried to get the Alabama Slam in. His former tag team partner, Hardcore Holly, couldn't get it done. But there it is, a spinning Alabama Slam right in the middle of the ring. Unfortunately, that's not going to be enough to hold Nick Aldis down.
Earl Hebner, at his age, did a hell of a job in this match. The pressure on a referee is immense. And Earl, this great experience and big match experience was perfect for this. It gave the match more credibility. It gave the match more, more focus, as Cody's trying to set Aldis up for something which Aldis was aware of. That's the thing about Aldis. That was a smart, easy sidestep and a power bomb. Nothing fancy.
Look at here, going for a sharpshooter, scorpion deathlock, if you will. As I understand it, there were some conversations, some pitches, some ideas floated. Hey, when this AEW thing gets kicked off, what if we had the 10 pounds of gold represented as part of the programming? And I think the powers that be just couldn't get together on that.
Politics, Connie.
Isn't it crazy?
Absolutely, it's crazy. Well, in hindsight, I'm glad it worked out that way, because now the identity and the acknowledgement of the recognition of the AEW title is growing, obviously.
Oh yeah.
So I think that Tony Khan made the right call on that one. Maybe it was a blessing in disguise that all the powers that be didn't, they couldn't come together on that particular issue. I don't think it was a big deal. I really don't. Cody's wife, Brandy, was acknowledging her husband's grit. So, you know, in the old days, refereeing, see, she would be out of bounds. She would be violating a rule.
Yes.
In the old days. I'm not saying it should have done it here. I'm just saying that's how the subtlety that has changed. Old school bookers didn't want anybody interfering unless they weren't getting caught.
How about that pile driver right in the middle of the ring?
Yeah, but Aldis is so fatigued and so battered and bruised, he couldn't follow up. And that might have been a turning point in this match as far as the storytelling is concerned. When he hits somebody with a pile driver, you're supposed to beat him.
Right.
Aldis didn't even go for the cover.
He's going.
So that means I think that means Conrad, he thought he had this thing in the palm of his hand. That's a story he was trying to tell and portray.
Now you see Brandy is in the ring. She's not supposed to be in the ring. Aldis has not cheated. So he's trying to focus on the win, but she's in the ring illegally now. Again, Aldis has not cheated yet, but she's going to try to cover up her man here at the last possible minute, but too late. She catches the elbow. Brandy gets the elbow. Fans are not happy. Earl Hebner needs to get us.
That's a great spot. And again, there was cause for disqualification.
Yes.
And it didn't go down that way, thank God. Nobody wants that's that kissing your sister thing. There ain't no pleasure in that. So
now you see Aldis concerned about the fact that he dropped an elbow on Brandy. That wasn't the intent. He was trying to win, and he didn't see that she was doing that. Cody kicks out.
That was a nice nuance right there, Connie.
Yes.
He didn't intend to. She was not his target.
Yes.
Brandy wasn't Nick Aldis's target, but she got the bullet right here. I admire her for that, and Aldis too for his execution. Because Brandy was very vulnerable in that position, to say the least. So now Aldis is back in the driver's seat. He's driving a car.
Yep.
And he's the guy that's in firm control. You see this a lot of times in antagonists. They get a little overconfident. Crossroads. And the crossroads doesn't work.
No, kick out from Aldis. And man, the fans are at a fever pitch.
They're into it. The fans have bought into the story being told. And this is what they came to see. An old school based pro wrestling match for a championship.
The pop for what's going to happen with the finish here, Meltzer would say it was bigger than all but the biggest world title change pops. The crowd reaction was enormous. Many were emotional, and they treated the title change like it was totally real. Let's track the finish here and just let fans take a listen and go on this emotional roller coaster here.
Senses if he hopes to prevail over the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion.
Trading blows in the center of the ring. Cody delivers, and now it's Aldis. And now Cody. Left jabs, kick to the midsection. Stops that off the ropes. Now Cody, one of his own. Uh-oh. His variation of the vertebreaker.
Oh, look at Aldis, though. His weight. And that.
Oh, Din's fire countered. Oh, wait a minute, Aldis. Crossroads countered by Cody.
Aldis rolls through. Cody, hammer throw into the ropes, ducks down. Sunset flip. No. Cody, look out. 1, 2, 3.
Nice finish. Crowd loved it. They're eating it up like it was Sunday grilling at Conrad's. They're hungry. And all of a sudden we look around and look who wins. Look who gets acknowledged. Two great pros delivering the goods. Oh, Dusty would be so proud. He really would. Of course, he'd have taken credit for the finish, but nonetheless. I'm kidding.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the match and new NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the American
course, after that, Cody got to where he could use his name, his
Yep.
real name.
Nice little trade that happened, and we'll talk about how that all came to be because I have the inside track. But I guess now is just as good a time of any to remind everybody that matches like that wouldn't be possible without an old school dual edge blade. Of course, I'm talking about our friends at Henson Shaving. They're a family owned aerospace parts manufacturer that's made parts for the International Space Station and the Mars rover. And now they're bringing precision engineering to your shaving experience. You see, what they did is they said to themselves, Self, we've got these aerospace grade CNC machines hanging around. Why don't we use them to cut the thinnest razors you've ever seen? And how thin are they? Well, they're 0.0013 inches, which is thinner than a human hair. That means a stable blade and a vibration-free shave. And the razor has built-in channels to evacuate hair and cream. That's going to make clogging virtually impossible. These guys wanted to make the best razor, not the best razor business. That means there's no plastic, there's no subscriptions, there's no proprietary blades, there's no planned obsolescence. It gives you that old school feel because it uses a standard dual edge blade, but man, our grandfather never had a razor this thin. So that combines the old school feel with the new age tech. And by the way, not only is it better than what you've been doing, it's also cheaper, just $3 to $5 a year to replace the blades. So it's time to say no to subscriptions and say yes to a razor that will last a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/JR to pick the razor for you and use the code JR, and you'll get 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. Just be sure to add them to your cart. That's 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com/JR and use the code JR. hensonshaving.com/JR. Be sure to use the code JR. And by the way, we talked about that wonderful match and how old school it was between Cody and Nick Aldis. Man, if you love old school wrestling, I think you'll love WrestleQuest. WrestleQuest from MegaCat Studios is now available. We consider WrestleQuest to be like a love letter to classic role-playing games, the pixel art of our youth, and the golden era of pro wrestling. So powerbomb your way through a massive game where the worlds of toys, action figures, and wrestling collide. This is a sweaty, spectacular pro wrestling take on the cherished Japanese role-playing game genre. There's over 40 hours of core story content and over 20 fully licensed pro wrestling legends. Folks like Macho Man Randy Savage, Andre the Giant, Jake the Snake, Diamond Dallas Page, Jeff Jarrett, JYD, the Road Warriors. I can't believe this is real. This is Bruiser Brody's first ever video game, and mine too. I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. Did you just say mine too? Yeah. Conrad Thompson is a character in the game. People come on my podcast. You're listening to my podcast. So I'm in this freaking game. It is available now. Pick it up anywhere that you enjoy games. Of course, it's a downloadable game, and you can have it on all of your systems. And I mean it. It's on your PC. It's on your consoles. Hell, it's on mobile. But there's talent from all over the world. The talent spans decades and various promotions. And these are more than just statues. You see, each legend has their own side quest, and players can earn their signature gear or the right to call upon their finishing moves in combat. In some cases, the wrestler can even join the player as their manager. You get to cut promos on your opponents before fighting them in the ring. You get to customize your walkout routine, and you get to pick your theme music and your pyro and everything else. It's WrestleQuest. I mean, if you love old school wrestling, you love nostalgia, you love old school video games, you can't beat this. It's available now for PC, consoles, and mobile. If you like old school, you'll love WrestleQuest. Let's get back to our program, Jim. Here we go in 3, 2, 1, and we're back now. We see the post-match celebration with Cody Rhodes.
About the lineage of his father. But tonight, we learned that Brandy would do anything for Cody.
You know, sometimes, Conrad, it's better for the announcers. This of course is hindsight. Sometimes it's better for the announcers just to lay out.
Yeah.
Let the atmosphere
The
that
moment
has been cultivated in the moment, be paid off. Because the fans then at that point get to share in the experience. They get to share in that excitement and that feel, those emotions. And it's sometimes words just don't get it done. Just lay out. and let the crowd, these 10,000 plus, do your talking for you.
What a moment. You see the rest of the Nightmare family slide in. So we've got his brother-in-law and Tommy Dreamer and Glacier and DDP and Brandy. They're all snapping the 10 pounds of gold around his waist somewhere. And I'll be sure to post that over on social media. I've got a picture of Cody and I the next morning in the green room at Starrcast. He said, "Hey man, let's get a picture." You know, this weekend was really his first time as a promoter and doing something besides quote unquote just wrestling.
Right.
And of course, it was mine as well. Besides just being a fan, I got to run my first convention, Starrcast, and we sort of referred to it almost like the Woodstock of wrestling. And I started to get really, really stressed out that week leading into it. And Cody said something that made all the sense in the world. He said, "Conrad, we don't know what we don't know." So we learned together. And man, who would have thought, you know, less than 5 years later, he'd be main eventing WrestleMania and one of the top merch sellers in WWE, or that his opponent here, and they told a fabulous story. You gave him his kudos at the top of the match here. This was not just Cody wrestling himself. He needed the perfect opponent. And when you think back to the presentation of Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, Cody's doing his best to carry on the legacy left behind with his father, even has Dream tattooed over his heart. Meanwhile, Nick Aldis, man, he's suited and booted every time you see on TV, like old school Nature Boy stuff. They told a fun classic story, and Meltzer loved the match. He gave it 4 stars. This was heavy on story, and what a moment. And that's what it was all about, was, you know, this moment of All In and what it led to. I mean, AEW, here we come, right?
Yes. Yeah. It opened the door for a lot of us. You know, I never thought that I was going to go to work for a startup after all those years in WWE, 26 years. But it's the best move I ever made. I got me back in the game. And players want to play.
Yes, they do.
And as that great Fleetwood Mac song says, players only love you when they're playing. And that's how I look at my life, is that I'm in love with my life when I'm playing. And I hope that all the guys, again, when they get to London, they realize the opportunity that awaits them to be totally unselfish, to make the match a success. Make the match. And if you do that, you'll get over. But if it's all about you, then I don't know. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think guys are going to seize the moment, because moments like this, Conrad, don't happen all the time. There's nobody can say that this will be replicated,
Right.
In Wembley. I don't know. So in any event, it's an interesting psychology. And I'm glad that we've got guys like, Punk and Samoa Joe, Jericho, obviously, and several others that have had big match experience. They're going to be able to help lead those kids and get their minds right to go out there and do your job.
So there you see Flip Gordon with his big entrance. He's got the fans behind him. He was supposed to be the sentimental babyface. Let's track the audio here for Black Machismo.
Ghosts of the past, Ian.
Really talented kid.
Would you take a look at this? The very jacket, the very gear that the Macho Man Randy Savage entered World Championship Wrestling with, adorned by the Ring of Honor World Champion, and he's not coming along, Don. We all know who's right behind him.
Leaping Lanny Poffo, the brother of the Macho Man, and he's obviously given his endorsement here to the ROH World Champion.
There's Don Callis, that miserable prick.
Man, what a fun entrance this is for Jay Lethal, doing his best Randy Savage, wearing actual Randy Savage gear, and of course he is the Ring of Honor World Champion, giving a shot to Flip Gordon, who earned the right when he won the pre-show Battle Royal. They're going to get 3.5 stars, pull out all the stops here, go 14 minutes and 23 seconds. But just the idea that we have the Macho Man presence here. I mean, this is nostalgia. This is, for the same reason a lot of us love the Cody and Nick Aldis story and the championship. This is another chord of that same nostalgia song that we all love so much. And
yeah, it's like going to an Eagles concert. This show was to me. There's old Bobby Cruz. He has less hair now than he did then.
Yes,
Bobby does a nice job. Bobby's a good guy. He also dresses in the announcers room. We got a lot of announcers, and Bobby's a nice guy.
So we got Flip Gordon as the challenger here. We aren't watching the show in its entirety. It was quite a show. We had SoCal Uncensored and the Briscoe brothers in the dark match, or not dark match, but the pre-show. We also saw the over the budget battle royale. And the reason they called it that legitimately is they ran out of budget. So they called me and they said, "Hey, can we do something?" And I said, "Well, can you sell me the soft goods?" So those turnbuckles and ring skirts and the canvas we did as a part of the Starrcast promotion. So fans who ordered Starrcast early, they could get a piece of that canvas.
That's cool.
I still have a giant chunk of that canvas and still have one of those turnbuckles behind me. Every time we do a show here, that's my little keepsake and memento. But yeah, we sold those and offered packages, but that allowed them to put an extra 19 people on the card.
Wow.
Once the pay-per-view started, Matt Cross would wrestle a cat named Maxwell Jacob Friedman. This was his first introduction into the national landscape. Of course, Ring of Honor had not signed him, but he had been featured here, there, and yon on MLW programming, which at the time was on BN Sports. But a lot of wrestling fans learned all about MJF, and as I understand it, that was a Cody call. Cody was advocating for MJF to be a part of this show, and
good call.
How that worked out.
Good call.
His opponent that night, who actually beat MJF, was Matt Cross, and he has been an independent guy that I've been familiar with since at least 2004. A super talented high flyer. I kind of assumed he would have been a bigger part of AEW, but that hasn't happened as of yet. And there we see Kerry Silkin, who's sort of like the godfather of Ring of Honor. Of course, at this point, Sinclair Broadcasting has bought him out, but he's still the figurehead and commissioner, if you will, at different times. And just, I don't know, one of the more beloved people in Ring of Honor history. After that Matt Cross match with MJF, we would see Christopher Daniels take on Stephen Amell. Stephen Amell, of course, is the star of Heels now, but we knew him back then as the lead in Arrow. And he had wrestled Cody famously a few SummerSlams prior to this. So he's going to be wrestling Christopher Daniels here. Then we saw Tessa Blanchard take on Dr. Britt Baker, Chelsea Green, and Madison Rain. Of course, we know Dr. Britt Baker became one of the biggest stars in AEW, and Chelsea Green now is on her second stint with AEW or WWE and one of the tag team champs. And Tessa Blanchard, I think a lot of people felt like was going to be a really big part of whatever was next. I think she was a part of the Women of Wrestling, and I think she might have gone back to school now. I'm not exactly sure.
Great talent, though, Conrad. Wherever she's doing, she's gifted and she's blessed.
And it's in her blood, literally.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. I wish somebody's missing a boat, and maybe she's missing the boat by not acquiescing to certain procedural things. I don't know. But boy, she's talented. I'm telling you that right now. She's got it.
Then we had Cody and the Nick Aldis match, which we just saw. Right after that was a 20-minute Chicago street fight with Hangman Adam Page and Joey Janela. That's where we would see Joey Ryan come back to life with, instead of the Druids, they were the Fluids, the inflatable penises. Yes, that was a part of this program. We saved you from that today.
Thank you.
And now we've got Jay Lethal taking on Flip Gordon. The next match we'll watch was the match that came right after this, Kenny Omega versus Penta Zero. And that's where we get a little cameo, a little surprise, if you will. Following that, the longest match on the card, 26 minutes and 5 seconds, Marty Scurll challenging Okada, who most people believe to be the best wrestler in the world at that time. We'll skip that one today and go right to the Golden Elite. So we'll see Kota Ibushi team up with Matt and Nick Jackson to take on Bandido, Rey Fenix, and Rey Mysterio. I mean, they put together one heck of a show. I should mention the guys who were in that battle royale in the pre-show, those names were Moose, Brandon Cutler, Chucky T, Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero, Cheeseburger, the Hurricane. That's right, that one, Shane Helms, Ethan Page, Tommy Dreamer, Jimmy Jacobs, Punishment Martinez, who has done phenomenal things as Damian Priest in WWE, Austin Gunn, Billy Gunn, Marco Stunt, Brian Cage, Jordan Grace, Colt Cabana, and Bully Ray. So really just a who's who of professional wrestling. I mean, it felt like a destination. It felt like the Woodstock of wrestling 5 years ago.
It's a scenario where that battle royal had enough star power in it to headline a show.
Yes.
And so that was one of the guilty pleasures of this entire event. It's star-studded from top to bottom.
We got a ton of questions of when people realized we were going to be watching this. Ben Green wants to know, Jim, did you have an opinion on Matt Cross and why it never worked out with WWE? I think he's a great talent and could have been an excellent mid-carder or lower level top guy in WWE. Are you familiar with Matt Cross or M-Dog 20? Did you see any of his stuff?
A little, not enough to draw a definitive conclusion. Talented guy, there's no doubt about that. Very athletic. Sometimes, for whatever reason, maybe the stars aren't aligning. Whatever, politics, injuries, things like that occur, and I don't know how you would dissect the issues of Matt Cross, but it certainly was not the fact that he wasn't a good athlete,
right?
And was a strong worker as well. It's just something was missing there. Apparently, I never worked with him much. I know who he is. I respect his work, but I don't know what the culprit is on why he didn't connect and latch on to somebody.
Steve Marsh has an excellent question. He wants to know, did JR ever talk to Tony or anybody else about AEW around this time? Let's talk about that. When did you first start hearing, hey, there's this guy in Jacksonville?
Well, I met Tony with Alex Marvez. They came, sit front row in Long Beach. Look at this athlete. This is pretty damn hard to do right here, man. A special athlete. And they stayed at the same hotel that we were staying at, across near the arena. So I had a social beverage, and got to chatting up a lot about football, quite frankly, considering Tony's family owns the Jaguars. And so about that time we were talking, and I just thought it was kind of a pipe dream of a rich kid. Well, I mean, to say I'm going to start a wrestling company, knowing what it takes to start a wrestling company as I did, you're predicting something very special, and I didn't know if anybody could pull that off, not just Tony Khan. It's not a knock on Tony Khan. It's just a knock on the fact that this is a hard thing to pull off.
Well, and you've probably heard that 100 times before, and then
it
never goes anywhere.
Money people, money men, whatever the cliche is. Yeah. But I didn't piss on the parade. I was intrigued by it. I was very curious as to how this was going to happen. And of course, like I told Tony on that day, it all starts with talent and television.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the talent that people want to see, and they can go out in the ring and perform at a high level regularly.
Yes.
And then you got to have a television outlet. And that was something Tony came through on with Turner.
Of course, we're watching this because we've got an opportunity to have you guys relive all this. Round 2. The All In name, as I understand it, was created by Teal, Cody's sister. But as I understand it, the guys, Cody and the Young Bucks, they were the first to execute it. So I guess they owned the name technically. But the footage, as I understand it, was owned by Ring of Honor, because this is the Ring of Honor production side who are actually, supporting the guys in their venture. as I understand it, the rental agreement to the building and all that sort of thing. That was all Cody and the Bucks, but everybody needs a production team. Like last year when we did Ric Flair's last match, we leaned on Impact for that. Cody and the Bucks, they decided to lean on Ring of Honor because that's who they knew, and why wouldn't they? So as I understand it, that's the reason there was no like official Ring of Honor Blu-ray or DVD or something like that, because I know fans were clamoring for that. But that all changed when Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor. So now this show is a part of his portfolio of wrestling items and things, and now the whole debate about, you know, should we or shouldn't we use the name, because you saw when Flip Gordon came to the ring, he was wearing an All Out shirt. They were sort of making fun whenever they would make an announcement that someone was on the show. They would say so and so is All In, and of course they kept showing on the graphic every week on Being the Elite. There was no spot for Flip Gordon. That's his story. He was All Out. Well, nobody owned All Out. So when AEW became a thing, they just started calling their Labor Day tradition, just picking up what they created here. So by the time 2019 rolled around, a year after this, the big show would be All Out. And now we're getting our second bite at the apple, if you will, for the show All In. And this was such a historic All In, this pay-per-view we're watching. But man, 5 years later, it's going to be bigger than ever. I still can't believe, Jim, that this is going to be the biggest wrestling crowd in history. Like they're going to beat WWE's numbers here. I just don't think a lot of people would have predicted that. Kudos to Raphael Morphy and Tony Khan and Mega and all the people who work behind the scenes in the office to make something like this happen, because this isn't just a financial bet. It is a big infrastructure bet. It is a big logistical bet. Yes, Tony has to write a big check for a building like that, but just to pull all these pieces together for a show that size, they've never had anything this big, not even close. You know, certainly they've had challenges, Arthur Ashe and things like that in outdoor venues, but I mean, this is a whole new stratosphere, and they're taking it on. And by the way, 1 week later, doing All Out in Chicago, like this is a run that I don't think people will really appreciate until that's over. Maybe
no one has done what Tony Khan has done in pro wrestling other than one man, period.
Yes.
That's Vince McMahon.
Yes.
So Tony's in rarefied air as far as that's concerned.
Yes.
And what many of us were skeptical of, because again, as you said earlier, others had tried, others had invested money, but not this kind of money. And Tony had a lot of inner circle people that had TV connections and so forth that a lot of folks didn't even realize. So Vince and Tony can be spoken of in the same sentence, and it makes sense. It really does make sense to me. And he continues to do, you know, adding licensed music to the entrances of the talents, you know, taking care of the talents as he does. So, no, it's pretty cool.
We want to remind everybody that this is a Ring of Honor program, so you can actually pick this up and watch this entire show with Ring of Honor.
Yeah, you should do that, folks. If you're a fan, and we know you're a fan, you would be watching us and listen to us today. Check it out. It's available. I don't think it costs you nothing.
Yeah, check it out. It's watchroh.com. You can actually watch the whole show there, and watchroh.com. I mean, what a history they have. I mean, when you think about just their legacy alumni, it's a who's who that went through Ring of Honor. I mean,
they made a lot of stars, man. They made a lot of stars. I made a comment one time in a WWF meeting that, you know, I wish we were as fortunate moving forward in developing new stars as Ring of Honor has been. Now, you peel the onion back a little bit, and you can see that they weren't dealing with a empty. They had inventory. They had stars that were talented and hungry. And man, when you can get that combination together, it's pretty damn cool.
Some really tremendous wrestlers have gone through there, guys like Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay, but some mega names have gone through there too. I mean, Tommaso Ciampa really cut his teeth there before he became a star. for NXT, and so many others. I mean, Steve Corino, for goodness sake. I mean, he is such a big part of what's happening behind the scenes in WWE, and he was in Ring of Honor forever. Other great talent as well, like Shelton Benjamin. You could have seen them there, or Hurricane. Samoa Joe, my goodness, still doing his thing, going to wrestle in front of a record crowd.
Against CM Punk, there'll be a knockdown, drag out, grit your teeth match. Slobber Knocker's got Slobber Knocker written all over Conrad, and that could be a show stealer. Along the same lines of telling those great stories, like we saw with Aldis and Cody a few minutes ago.
Other great stars that you would see all the time these days, the Lucha Bros, they were a big part of Ring of Honor, both Rey Fenix and Penta. As far as storytelling stars, how about guys like Raven or Punishment Martinez, who we know now as Damian Priest? Pac was in Ring of Honor. Nigel McGuinness was a big part of Ring of Honor. For goodness sake, the Young Bucks, of course, they were a big part. But even some of your favorite ECW stars. Mick Foley made some appearances for them. Mikey Whipwreck was doing his thing for them. The Hardy Boys were a big part. Of course, the Briscoes, my goodness, maybe one of the greatest tag teams of all time. They were Ring of Honor. Guys like Leo Rush and MVP and Kushida and Takeshita and, for goodness sake, Conan. How about Kevin Steen and Kenny Omega and Sami Zayn? All of those guys cut their teeth in Ring of Honor. And not just them, but like maybe the guy who's carried the banner for Impact for quite a while, Josh Alexander, he was there along with Kenta and other great stars like Jim Cornette. That's right. Jim Cornette was a big part of Ring of Honor. And so was Jerry Lynn and Jay Lethal and Jamie Noble. And
the list goes on and on, Conrad.
Yes.
We could talk about these names till tomorrow. It's simply amazing what Ring of Honor and their management team and their talents did to produce an exciting product that gave hungry, talented stars the opportunity to get out there and do their thing. It's just it was refreshing as hell.
Check it out. It's watchroh.com. That's watchroh.com is where you can enjoy this full show. And I think you should, because it was quite a show. And, besides ECW One Night Stand, I can't think of another show that, was as important in my fandom. But that ECW reunion weekend in 2005, and then here All In 13 years later, just peak fandom for me. And that ought to get it done. That was the Lethal Injection. And that's it. Too much for Flip Gordon. The match itself,
nice
got 3.5
match.
stars.
Yeah, nice match. Solid as hell. Nice spots. They pulled it off. They're in a tough spot on the lineup.
Yes.
But that shows you how talented both these guys are, especially Jay Lethal, who's now doing his thing in AEW, which we're very blessed to have him.
Of course, in storyline, the story that they've been trying to tell for quite a while is that Bully Ray was just not a fan of Flip Gordon. He has just absolutely hated Flip Gordon, even had a table spot with him in the pre-show. And they're just heavy on story here. Of course, Macho Man had his, Macho Man, Black Machismo had the real life Macho Man's brother in his corner. Flip Gordon had Brandy Rhodes playing his Miss Elizabeth, I suppose is what we'd call it. And then there's a little post-match deal here with Bully Ray. Next up, though, it's going to be about Kenny Omega and Penta. And you want to talk about a dream match at the time. That's what that felt like. I mean, Penta had been an Impact champion and a AAA champion. And Kenny Omega, of course, was the New Japan, the IWGP heavyweight champion. And that title belt that they were sporting at the time, most people thought was, the most prestigious belt in all of wrestling. And it's a big part of this show, along with the Ring of Honor world title and the NWA world title. And there you see Bully Ray attacking both guys. Bully Ray, of course, you can hear on one of your favorite programs every few days, Busted Open.
Yeah, Bully's a big part of that radio presentation with Dave LaGreca, of course, and Mark Henry, Tommy Dreamer. Bully's become a really good broadcaster. He's a smart guy. I used to bullshit him about his calves being small. Quite the contrary.
So we're seeing the post-match skirmish here. I don't know why Bully had such a hard on for Flip Gordon. Maybe he had some extra Blue Chew. Guys, let me just tell you, Blue Chew really, really works. This show and all of our shows here on Grilling JR are supported by Blue Chew. We wish you'd support our sponsors. And I'm telling you, this is one, if you try it, you won't regret it. You're going to do it again and again and again. We're talking about the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost, all thanks to Blue Chew, which is a unique online service that delivers it right to your door. You can take these anytime, day or night, so plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. Now, here's how it works. You sign up at BlueChew.com, you consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And here's the best part, it's all done online. So no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversation, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA, prepared and shipped directly to your door, all in a discreet package. But there won't be anything discreet about your package. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code JR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. The promo code is JR, and you'll receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we want to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring today's podcast. So, Jim, let's get back to it. We know now that Blue Chew is good for what ails you. We're going to join this match in progress. It's Kenny Omega and Penta, and man, they are tearing it up. 4.5 stars, according to the Observer. They go 17 minutes and 46 seconds. Meltzer would say the crowd was into it from the start, seeing it as a dream match. And, man, they're going to pull out all the big spots and big moments, but there's something that happens in the post-match that nobody saw coming. And, of course, we know that's going to be Chris Jericho. Where would we know what high regard you hold Kenny Omega in?
Yeah.
And I know how you feel about Rey Fenix. We haven't spent a ton of time talking about Penta. What do you think about his game?
Oh, it's great. It's great. He's just different than his brother, but in a good way. So they got their own styles, even though there's a lot of common denominators. A great star. And the other thing about these guys is that they are so team-oriented. They're pros. And, you know, Raphael Morphy was telling me early on, he said, you're going to really enjoy working with the Lucha Bros. And he was right. They're just hardworking. They're team guys, as I said. So really, really talented. And, of course, Kenny brings out the best in everybody. He's just a very rare breed of cat. You know, we did that interview with him at Daly's place a couple of weeks ago now. A week ago, whatever it's been. I haven't slept, so I don't even know. But he's a big star. He's a big star. He's just a different type of star, believe it or not, than his brother. And I've always thought his brother had glimpses of brilliance in his game several times since I've been around.
We see Kenny Omega going up to the top rope here. Penta's in the ring, and we're home stretching it here. Of course, there's one match left to go. Our main event: Young Bucks and Kota Ibushi taking on Rey Mysterio, Rey Fenix, and Bandido. Oh, he's trying to set up. And what a maneuver that was!
Yeah, Kenny is very creative. He's. I said this about Darby Allin a few days ago on Collision. His offensive creativity is absolutely stellar. Kenny does things that people would say, well, why didn't I try that? Why didn't I do that in my game? Kenny's very innovative, very offensive minded, and a tough guy. I mean, you know, his schedule is indicative of that. So he's I don't know who's better in the business right now than Kenny Omega. I really don't. And I'm being as honest as I can. And we got some of the great stars that compare to that. When everybody's healthy, it's a pretty special group of talent.
So you can see he's setting up the one-winged angel here. Penta is trying to punch his way out.
Yeah, that one-winged angel is no secret. Everybody knows what Kenny's going to try to end the match with. That was a close false finish. It's just amazing to me, Conrad, how much the crowd stayed invested in these matches.
Yes.
Because they've been there a while now.
Oh, yeah.
And a brother's got to take a pee break every now and then, you know.
Yes, he does. Especially if he's enjoying some of the adult beverages that were being offered there at the concession stands.
Boy, I bet they sold a lot of beer.
Meltzer said that they had the longest merchandise lines for any wrestling show or concert he'd ever been to in his life. And I bet that's the exact same issue they have this weekend in London at Wembley. You got all these fans for the first time ever being able to see AEW live. Everybody's going to want to spend a little bit of money at that merch stand.
And I guarantee you, mark my words, how the concessions are managed by the stadium will become a point of emphasis, because if a guy's got to wait too long to get his brewski, this is just terrible. I had to wait 20 minutes to get a beer. So what? What'd you expect? Did you not see the line when you got there?
Right.
You know, it's not AEW's fault how the beers are distributed, so to speak.
I can't imagine, man, how electric that's going to be. You know, that you're going to be able to do that, like to be a part of that. You know, I've been asked before, hey, if you could go back in time and you could be at any one wrestling event, what would you pick? And I almost always pick WrestleMania 3, because I just feel like that had to be such a happening, you know, the biggest gathering of wrestling fans ever at that point. And, you know, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant and just the lore of WrestleMania. You know, WrestleMania was big. WrestleMania 2 was big, but WrestleMania 3 really leveled it up. And I think this is sort of the WrestleMania 3 for AEW. And the idea that I'm not going to be there, I mean, man, it sucks. But I'm jealous that you get to be there and hope you get to
buy your big ass a plane ticket. Come on and join us. I'll get you a ticket. I know people.
I appreciate that.
But, you know, the experience of watching it on pay-per-view is pretty cool, too, because you hear the stories being told by the broadcasters. And I think that's important. Of course, I would. That's just me. That's what I do for a living.
So we see Penta throwing up the hand sign. There's the big V trigger.
Kenny has great impact. He's crisp. That's one of the things that separates him from others. His offense is crisp and snug.
Another V trigger.
What's it going to take, Kenny? Apparently one more than this.
Penta grabs the ropes there, and
frustration is setting in on Kenny Omega, but boy, these guys got this crowd in the palm of their hand.
Oh man, the big package pile driver. This is going to be a false finish, but let's track the audio if he hits it, because I think the crowd goes bananas on one of these false finishes.
That's it. 1, 2. No! You see Omega's arm was not underneath the right leg of Pentagon. Otherwise, we would have had a 3 count, I believe.
Don Callis on commentary. Hey, Conrad, ever tell you that Don Callis is a miserable prick?
You have told me that.
I just alluded to that point.
You have told me that. I have a good authority. MJF is too.
What is it going to take? Does either man have enough left in the tank to even try their best shot? The silver bullet, can they find it?
As we talked about earlier, and I think it's been proven tonight, I don't know that Omega's ever been in the ring with anyone quite like Pentagon.
Chop to the chest of Penta. And another one from Omega, those huge hands.
Those make me shiver, those chops.
These two guys
You can't play with it. You either got to lay it in or don't do it.
And now Omega, the boot to the side of the head of Penta. Wow, that's a little bit of Spanish trash talk right there. Not sure how Kenny's Spanish is, but that was very uncomplimentary. How about Pentagon inviting this violence? I've never seen anyone ask for a V-trigger before. He kicked him low.
Oh.
No. Looking for fear factor, that package pile driver on the
That's dangerous. But man, is it entertaining and just absolutely stimulating.
You hear the crowd chanting, "Holy shit, nobody can believe what they saw." A package pile driver on the apron.
On the apron.
Yes.
On the friggin' apron. No margin for error.
No.
The two great pros. No margin for error.
Oh, there comes the double foot stomp.
Get all their signature stuff in. There's a nice kick out at 2.5. Kenny continues, as we said earlier about a baby face. And I perceive in this match, Kenny was the baby face.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, you just never, the baby faces are the great ones never quit.
Yes.
Think of Ricky Morton. Think of Ricky the Dragon. How they sold, how they never died. They always gave their audience, their fans, hope. And that's crucial. Kenny's got a lot of strength, too.
A lot. Big package pile driver. Another kick out.
You wonder at this point in the match, what is it going to take? So the fans are on the edge of their seat waiting to find out exactly the answer to that question.
Going for yet another one-winged angel. Man, damn it. Once again, Penta fights his way out of there.
Yeah, he sees it coming. He knows what's happening. He gets it. Veteran
the
move.
Arm break spot. Oh man, that is so believable. Like in execution, you can totally buy into what they're seeing here, and you see he's setting him up. Oh, another package pile driver. Let's track it here. Listen to this.
1, 2, no!
He didn't hook the leg.
Listen to the crowd.
Moments you love to hear and experience.
Listen, I know that Kenny Omega has his detractors online. We don't have to name them. We know who they are, but when you hear that sort of reaction to a false finish, a kick out, that lets you know, hey man, we're cooking with gas. We're doing something right here. The fans are invested in the story, and it's not like they've had a series of 20-minute in-ring promos and backstage skits to get here. This is just wrestler A versus wrestler B, and the story is about them trying to beat the other one. The story is about them trying to defy all odds and take the other guy's best shot and win the damn thing.
Win the damn thing. That's right, Connie. So we're late in the game right here. We're in the deep water, as they say. Again, going back to that arm, and he's working on the dominant arm. Kenny's right-handed. I'm sure the announcers pointed that out, but he's trying Penta's trying to weaken the dominant arm of Kenny Omega.
So he can't do the one-winged angel. There's a reverse Frankensteiner.
Notice Kenny just didn't go through the motions of hooking the leg. He pulls on the leg to put pressure on the shoulders so they stay in place for the 3 count.
This should be the finish. Let's track this. Here comes a one-winged angel.
Hey, Can Penta counter for the 5th time tonight? No, he cannot. One-winged angel.
Hooks the leg. 2, 3. He got him.
He got it. Who's he and what is it?
The winner of this match.
Just ask him.
Kenny
Great match. That's a really great match. Makes all of us old lifers proud to be in the wrestling business.
And you heard Justin Roberts on the call. This is before there's an AEW, but we're trying to get an all-star cast here, and we've got one. Kenny Omega is going to be victorious. He beats Penta. It's a 4.5-star match, according to the Observer. They went 17 minutes and 46 seconds, bell to bell. Little trivia note. Dave Meltzer was actually in my suite watching this with his laptop out, taking notes live as it happened. Waltman was in there too. Oh, it went dark. Let's track it here. Here's the big surprise. Here's the big moment.
The lights are out. Did the feed go out? I know.
We get the crew out here. I can't see anything. For a second time this evening, the Sears Center's gone dark. They need to pay their electric bill. We get some techs out here, please.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can still
I
hear
can't see you. I can hear you.
I got you out of my left ear.
Well, I guess this is live television, guys.
Well, we got to react. Hope the lights come back on here.
We need to mention this is the first ever All In pay-per-view, so not be without its kinks.
Part of the charm of the event, held by Nick, Matt, and Cody.
There we go.
The lights are back on.
And Omega able to move that right arm a little bit.
Omega
That's a good
celebrating,
sign. I
waving
thought
to
he
the
popped
fans.
elbow, and Penta is up
Penta
again.
standing up.
This is not good.
Penta sending Omega down.
Now laying the boots. This is poor sportsmanship. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
That left arm takes him down.
Yeah, I don't see the Cero Miedo tattoo.
There's no way. I don't.
Oh, breaker!
What the hell?
Look out! It's Chris Jericho! Chris Jericho has assaulted Kenny Omega again!
Nice piece of business.
Down and break.
It's amazing what we've just seen right here. I mean, a nice surprise. You know, this show had something for everybody, man, as far as the nostalgia of having the NWA World Title and a great story, and having the nostalgia of the Macho Man's gear and the Ring of Honor World Title. And now you've got the New Japan World Champ taking on, you know, for all intents and purposes, the former Impact Champ and the former AAA Champ and Penta. And now a big surprise, an unannounced big surprise with Chris Jericho. And he's asking for a mic. Let's listen.
Kenny Omega! I'll see you on the Jericho cruise.
Bandido has had.
Now it's time for our main event. We're finally here. Of course, along the way, we did have to skip, just for the sake of time, Okada and Marty Scurll. Go out of your way to see that one. It's such an opportunity to see Okada in person. If you ever are given the chance, you should do it. One day, you'll be glad you did. So
I became good friends with Okada, Conrad, during the time that I was doing New Japan commentary for Access TV. Really became good friends with him, and he's a sweetheart of a guy, class act. He's a credit to the wrestling business, not only just as a talent, but just how he conducts himself, how he dresses, how his mood is. The whole thing is big time, big feel. Great star.
Speaking of great stars, Rey Mysterio, man, a lot of people never imagined they would see him wrestle in America, not for WWE, but he made it happen here at All In. And there you see his tag team partner, Rey Fenix, who we know is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Right behind him, Bandido. Of course, both of those guys now with AEW, and Rey, man, doing his thing. Who would have guessed Dominic would be the star he is? 5 years ago, nobody had that on their bingo cards.
He didn't even have a driver's license then.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, man.
Dominic's got himself over, and I'm sure Rey is extremely proud of his boy. I would be.
Meltzer would say this match was nonstop tremendous. It was all perfectly timed, great moves, and the crowd was heavily into it. Bandido, the least known, got the most big spots in, including a spinning crossbody and a Fosbury flop on Matt where he landed on his feet. I don't even know what that is. Phoenix hit the diamond cutter that just won the AAA title with. I don't think his being AAA champion was mentioned, but it was notable they had world champions from ROH, New Japan, AAA, and the Impact's women's champion. Of course, New Japan and ROH's tag champs also, plus the NWA title change. The biggest pop was when Ibushi squared off against Mysterio. Ibushi does a moonsault onto the knees and onto the chest of Bandido. Of course, Meltzer just recaps move by move what happened here. But in the end, the Bucks are going to use the Meltzer driver on Bandido for the pin. It gets 4.5 stars, universally loved. And what a presentation this is. Of course, we know this weekend, Kenny Omega is tagging with Kota Ibushi and Hangman Adam Page. They were all a part of the elite, or the golden elite, if you will. And here they are in the main event 5 years ago. If you're not watching along with us, by the way, I want to mention that our shows are not just audio in your RSS feed. You can actually check us out on YouTube. It's Grilling JR on YouTube.com. That's Grilling JR on YouTube.com. And we'd love to have your interaction. I'm sure between, it is going to be challenging, I'll say that, in order to figure out when we're going to be able to record again. But I can't wait to talk about your Wembley experience. Do you know when you're flying back from Wembley yet, Jim?
Yeah, Monday.
Oh, well, there you go.
The day after the show, I'm flying to Oklahoma, Connie. So, as I mentioned earlier, here in my humble abode on the beach, they're going to be gutting the windows out of my place and the sliding glass door, all that bullshit. So I have to leave. So luckily, instead of going to a hotel, I go to my home in Oklahoma, which I look forward to. Hey, Connie, it's close to football season.
That's right.
Collision is going to adversely affect my football watching, not my fandom, but my DVR will be busy this season.
Jim, I can't wait to hear your Wembley experience. We'll try to get together next Tuesday or Wednesday in advance of Grilling JR dropping everywhere on Thursday. But I can't wait for people to hear about your experience. And, you mentioned Collision and that interfering with maybe some of your football plans. You revealed a few weeks ago on the program, or maybe at this point it was a few months ago, that your contract was due in September. And a lot of news websites have picked up on that. Even Meltzer reported it again on the Observer. Are you going to be with AEW for the long haul, do you think, or where does that stand right now?
Well, I hope so, Connie. I don't have any intentions of changing my employer at all. I like working for AEW. I like working with these talents. I really enjoy being on Collision because I think we're trying to develop a little different feel.
Yes.
For the TV presentation. Not better than Dynamite, but different than Dynamite. So my plan is to continue in some role, and that's entirely up to Barry Bloom, my agent, and of course Tony Khan. They hold the cards. They're doing the negotiating. So my goal is to stay in AEW and contribute and help wherever I can. I like working with. We were back together with Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness, and it's always fun. I was very impressed with Ian Riccaboni, really good young announcer. So hopefully everything will work out okay. We'll know in a few weeks, that's for sure.
Well, I know where you belong, and that's behind the microphone. You are indeed the voice of wrestling, and I hope you guys figure it out. I want you on Collision for the long haul.
Me too, buddy.
Again, I'd love to have your interactions. If you got questions about JR's Wembley experience, that's probably what we'll be talking about next week. It'll be at JR Grilling on Twitter and Instagram. Of course, Grilling JR over on Facebook. The entire world will be talking about this show. We'll give you the ins and outs of JR's experience next week on the program. So if you've got a question about All In 2023, the biggest wrestling show in history in Wembley Stadium, then ask us at JR Grilling on Twitter and Instagram, Grilling JR over on Facebook. And you get all these shows early and ad free when you sign up for adfreeshows.com. And it's not just, getting to be a part of the live studio audience, but we've got some really cool behind the scenes bonus content, like the false finish with Zach Gowen. We take you through his entire wrestling experience. You've never heard a story like his before. It's exclusive to adfreeshows.com. We also give props and kudos to Dan Bynum, one of the guys who was really ahead of his time as far as production and wrestling, with his pal Keith Mitchell for World Class. Hear about all those innovations, the Bad Street USA video, his time in WCW. And boy, he pulled no punches about Hulk Hogan. You don't want to miss that. It's called The Insiders with Dan Bynum. We're also going to be recording very soon with David Crockett. We're going episodically, month by month, through 1985 using his brother Jimmy's red books. That's where we would have the genius booking mind put pen to paper in JJ's handwriting. But of course, the book stayed with Jim Crockett Jr., and he's since passed away. So we've got his brother, another member of wrestling royalty, David Crockett, breaking it down day by day, show by show, gate by gate. That's all available for you at adfreeshows.com. want to mention, you've heard some of the same ads and commercials on our program for a long time. Things like Blue Chew and Henson Shaving and AG1 and so many others. Well, why do you hear these same sponsors over and over and over? Well, because it really works. You see, if you're looking to reach men 25 to 54 years old, there's no better place to advertise than right here with us. Find out how easy and affordable it is at advertisewithjr.com. That's advertisewithjr.com. And I mentioned at the top of the program that WWE is actually running a house show this Sunday in Huntsville. So I'm going to have some friends and family over, and we're going to watch the All In show at noon my time. We're doing a little family barbecue, float around the pool and whatnot. And then, of course, that night they're at the Von Braun Center. So it's going to be Wrestling Overdose, and we couldn't do it without your help, Jim. That all-purpose seasoning, some of that fabulous barbecue sauce, some of that Red House JR hot sauce, all available now at jrsbbq.com.
That somebody sent me a recipe the other day where they were using Red Ass JR's hot sauce and Bloody Marys.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty good.
Interesting idea. I get a lot of really cool suggestions on how people use our stuff, and it's really amazing how creative a lot of foodies are. Hey, Conrad, I was going to ask you a question. In the Crockett book, I've seen that red book a zillion times.
Yes.
Dusty had one just like it. JJ had one. I guess Jimmy had one, obviously. But wasn't all the booking done in pencil?
You know, it's funny you say that, because you do see a lot of the pencil, but then you do occasionally see a red pen and a blue pen. But yes, there was a lot in pencil. You're exactly right.
Yeah. That's like doing a crossword puzzle in ink. It's kind of risky.
And it held up all these years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. These kids here are really turning it loose. All offense, man.
Yeah,
a lot of offense, a lot of athleticism. Hats off to the Bucks. They're just they perform best in big match situations. There's no doubt about that. Like they'll have on Sunday on pay-per-view. Sunday afternoon in the States.
My goodness. Isn't it crazy what we're seeing here?
Yes, it is amazing. Innovation galore. It's not like a stripper.
We just saw Mysterio do a top rope acai moonsault. Now Phoenix is going to do a corkscrew springboard here. And I think Bandido is going to do a corkscrew moonsault next. I mean, just
these guys are fearless, Connie. They're just strictly friggin' fearless. And the guys that are catching, let's not discredit their ability. They're not just standing there and, well, it's so easy. They're just going to catch these guys. You know, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
And it's not a perfect science by any stretch. It takes a lot of balls to do what these guys are doing here tonight. I really enjoyed this match. I actually arrived in Chicago on that day. During the show, during the Cody match. I caught up quickly and saw all you guys. Had a cold beer or two. But boy, it was a fun show to watch. And the reason it was such a fun show to watch, Conrad, wasn't only because of the in-ring wrestling. It was because the crowd made it special. And I think that's what we're going to see on Sunday night with 80,000 plus, who's been waiting a long time for this card, this show, how much they're going to contribute to the proceedings. The crowd is going to be worth the price of admission. I truly believe that. I wonder if they're going to be breaking out the signs and the posters and all those things. That'd be kind of cool.
No doubt. Oh man, how about that? That's something I don't remember seeing. That was amazing. Where we go into a German, Matt threw Bandido into Ibushi's German suplex. I don't think I've seen that before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, these kids are innovative, and again, they're fearless. They're trying things that are not just old hat. They're trying things that are new and different that tie everything together.
Springboard Fez press and throws the other young buck in. Oh, big kick to the face for his trouble. It's so crazy to think Mysterio. I mean, this is just the luck of timing, man, and relationships. And Mysterio setting up the 619 on Matt here. Imagine how many fans in the crowd were hoping to see that move in person, and there it is. But Matt catches him. How about that? And sets up a tombstone.
That's a nice little subtle heel move, actually.
Yeah.
Not giving the crowd what they wanted or they thought they were going to see. Man, these kicks flying all around like pollen. It's everywhere.
Yeah, clearly trying to set up the oh, there you go. He sets the 619 up again.
Fans want to see it. You know, that's the deal. Boom, right there it is. So that's a big payoff. I got to see Rey in the 619 Canadian Destroyer.
Oh my gosh. This is just about as fast paced and high flying. Speaking of high flying, double topes. Man, I kind of forget how amazing this match was. Go out of your way to see this one, boys and girls. Goodness gracious.
Amazing false finishes that the crowd is still buying.
They're standing. I mean, I can't imagine anybody seated at this point. Like, you don't want to miss anything.
Right.
You're invested. You're on the edge of your seat, man.
What a memorable night. And what a great selection of shows to air leading into this Sunday. It's the old you ain't seen nothing yet type scenario, we hope.
Yeah, man. You know, there's only been 2 of these. Well, there's only been 1, but by the time folks hear this next week, there will be 2, and we'll be talking about the next All In next week here on the program.
From somebody that was there, that participated, that was involved in it. I'm sure Tony will have plenty of memories to talk about as well. He'll be a big part of the show.
Standing fall away slam from the top rope for Bandido on Matt Jackson. Nick makes the save. It's crazy to think too, man, how many people this show created jobs for. You know, how many people are now a part of AEW and providing for their family and earning record income in their careers.
And family members got jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, it became a family affair. It's a family company led by the Khan family.
Let's get ready. Of course, we're going to be getting ready to track it. I think we're getting real close to the
look at this,
the finish here. Oh man, there's the big 450. Oh, but they make the save.
Yeah, my gut feeling is best I recall. We're going down the home stretch here.
This is it. This is the big finish. The Meltzer driver. Let's listen.
1, 2, 3. The Golden Elite pick up the victory.
The winners of this match, the team of Kota Ibushi and the Young Bucks.
What a match! What a night! All In, history making, 10,000 strong, trending #1 worldwide on Twitter for Excalibur.
There you go, man. They're doing it, and as you may recall, that's the end of the show. They went off the air right then. As the story goes, the Okada
show ran a little heavy, Conrad. They got a photo finish on the end.
Yes. The behind the scenes story of that day, I'm sure, is one that people will tell in great detail later. But as I understand it, it almost didn't make it on the air. They had a little bit of help from Mike Weber making sure it got on the air, but they had only reserved so much satellite time. They got the finish in right on time. The main event was supposed to be longer, but a few things went long, and as a result, we're playing catch up. But there was a great moment afterwards. A thank you from Cody and the Bucks and their families in the ring for all the fans. It was a mutual love affair. It was Woodstock of wrestling, man, and it was 5 years ago, and we get to do it again this Sunday in London, Wembley Stadium, the biggest crowd of all time. Jim, any final words as we get ready for that big weekend?
I just can't wait to, believe it or not, after my travel day that I painfully outlined to you earlier and our fans, I can honestly say I can't wait to get back on another airplane. 8-hour flight or 9, whatever it is. Who cares? I've done it many times. And what you do is it's called sleep.
Yes.
Set your fat ass back in the business class seat, sleep. I can't wait to get back on the airplane. I can't wait to get to London. And the feeling that one gets when you know you're going to participate, when you walk out and you get, there's going to be nothing like seeing that audience for the first time for me live.
Yes.
And I can't even tell you what I expect because I don't know what to expect. But I know it's going to be special. And for an old veteran like me, I'm certainly going to be counting my blessings that I had the opportunity to be there and to be able to participate. It's going to be a special, special weekend. It's history. And I know it's a lot of hyperbole. But golly, folks, think about it. A fledgling company selling 80,000 plus tickets. It's too good to be true. But it is true.
It is true.
We're going to hopefully deliver the goods on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon here in the States.
Be sure to order anywhere you enjoy pay-per-views. Literally everybody and their brother is going to have this one. I'll have a pool full of folks chomping down on some barbecue thanks to your all-purpose seasoning, and we're going to be watching the wrestling show of the year. And then we're going to talk about it next week right here on Grilling JR with the voice of wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross.
Enjoy the weekend, everybody. It's a very special time. That's not hyperbole. That's just fact. And we certainly appreciate your support here. Tell friends about our podcast. And I can't wait to get back with you next week with Conrad and talk about my experiences in London. Going to be very, very special. And I hope you enjoy it as much as we are.
So long, everybody.
See ya.
Get ready for the ultimate wrestling fan experience from the comfort of your own home. Starrcast VI is streaming exclusively on Premier Streaming Network. Witness wrestling legends and current AEW stars take the stage for 3 days of engaging and captivating discussions, including AEW Unrestricted Live with special guest Tony Khan. But wait, there's more. Order the full weekend bundle and score 2 months of Premier Plus absolutely free. Unlock access to over 70 epic shows from Starrcast 1 through 5, as well as the upcoming Wrestling Showcase event on September 9th. Plus, you get access to the Premier Plus library with thousands of hours featuring your favorite promotions and stars. All of this for just $49.99. Don't let this opportunity slip away. Tune in to Starrcast VI exclusively on Premier Streaming Network and order now at StarrcastOnPremiere.com.
Hey guys, Eric Bischoff here, and just want to call a quick timeout. I want to tell your listeners about what I've been telling everybody at over at 83 Weeks, quite a while now, about all the cool things that are happening over at adfreeshows.com.
Conrad sits down with a pioneer of wrestling television production, director Dan Bynum, who discusses his journey through WCW, ROH, MLW, and where it all began for him, world class.
What really was the thing that catapulted it was, one, working with Ric Flair. He came to the territory and wrestled with the Von Erich boys and gave us so much gravitas. And two, the greatest feud in the history of wrestling, the Freebird Von Erich feud. Mm-hmm. So we were there at the hottest time with the hottest show, and we took over the world.
The Yeti, Ron Reese, sits down with Ad-Free Shows members to talk about his infamous night at Halloween Havoc and how it was received by the boys in the back.
Oh, no, I remember, Arn Anderson told me that was the drizzling shits, and Dusty Rhodes was like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm just like, hey, thanks.
That's just a small taste of what we've got waiting for you with 4 levels to choose from. See for yourself why Ad-Free Shows is the best value in wrestling today. Sign up now at adfreeshows.com.